Hey Jake, how you doing?
Good, Jeremy. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain. No one listens.
Hmm.
So it's you could tell we're at a different age when the very first beings that arrive are just AI note takers.
Yeah, that's it's a weird world.
I know it is. It's like they're all arriving early.
Yeah, they're all on time, right?
Exactly. So I actually have never met Mark personally, but he invited me to sort of jump in and show you guys a little bit about what I do and just give you some things to work on. So did he kind of give you guys a heads up that I would be running the meeting today then, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
hmm
I figured that was the case.
Yeah. I don't
So
really have any context of what you do, but excited to hear about it. I'm sure it's decent. Sure, it'll be good.
yeah, no worries. How long have you guys been part of this mastermind?
Been in it like I think about 7 months now, six, seven
Okay.
months. Mhm.
Nice, nice. Is it you guys meet once a week or how? Honestly, it's kind of weird to be invited to a meeting that Mark's out of the country, so it makes sense. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I think Mark started this thing about 7 months ago, and um I was one of the first ones in it. Uh, but
nice,
yeah,
awesome. Well, yeah. And I guess most of everyone that's it's here, you guys manage between 10, like, are you guys managing 5 or 10 or 30 or how many I mean, I assume it ranges based on the actual company, right? As far as how many SCRs you're managing.
yeah, I think everybody's we're kind of anywhere in the two, three, four up to 20 to 30 range.
Hmm.
'Cause I think that's where most people in the group fall. So and kind of everything in between.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I kind of was thinking. So, good
This
morning,
call is actually
Jeremiah, or
10, 10,
afternoon. How you
10
doing?
plus. What's up, Jeremy? How you doing? This meeting is actually 10 plus, and then the meeting later today that you're going to be on is like 0 to 10.
Okay, got it, got
I
it.
think I think unless they change the schedule up, but that's typically has like two
No,
pods.
I think it's all together today.
Oh, it's all together. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, sweet.
Awesome. And I assume we'll just like give it 5 minutes or so before we get started. I know all the new note takers are here, but I assume we'll just do that. So, what part of the country are you guys in?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Nice,
I'm in San Diego.
nice, nice.
How about you, Jeremy?
And I'm in Asheville, North Carolina. So I'm in. We were devastated by this hurricane
Hmm.
like about a year ago. It was pretty crazy. I'm originally from Central Florida, but moved here and I've been here like 30 plus years, but I'd never seen anything like it. It was wild. I know we hit the national news, but I don't know if you remember hearing about Asheville, in this hurricane. So
Oh yeah.
it was pretty wild. We had a 5 foot creek turn into a 5,000 foot river. So everywhere where there was water, it was post apocalyptic. There was flooding. There was microburst tornadoes. It was like
That's
there,
wild, man.
there was it's like imagine waking up one morning and suddenly 20 small towns around you were just destroyed. So um, it kind of reminded me of watching the old 2012 movie, where everyone just
Yeah,
it's crazy. So
Book of Revelation shit, man.
yeah. Yeah, I know it was wild. And about 60% of businesses were destroyed. That was the other crazy thing. Is we had about 40% of small businesses, were gone immediately, and then another 20% in the first year. So, but hey, we're recovering. Somebody in marketing told me that it can take about 10 years for a place to recover when it goes through this level of devastation. So I think what we're gonna be doing today is I'm just gonna basically I met Mark through Matt Floyd. You guys know them, or do you know Stay Classy, or I don't know if you know any of these entities, if you guys know or not. I've heard of them.
I actually, yeah, I happen to know them because I think they're in San Diego. So
Right.
yeah, Craig and
Yeah.
Matt. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So I'm just going to share my screen. I got referred to these guys. Basically through um, Julie, right? And a lot of people know Julie in the industry, I assume. For some reason, my brain is, the Australian gal, right? Julie.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you're talking about. I can't remember her last name either.
George.
Julie George. Yeah. And so I met her originally. I guess this is like this with $1 Million Host. That's how I made that connection. And basically what happened was someone found me at the top of Google here in Asheville in the middle of the pandemic. And I started doing SEO for him and getting him results. And then he introduced me to Julie, and Julie started referring me to people. And then Julie referred me to Matt. So that's kind of how, if you want to follow the social trail, kind of how we all met each other. But if you don't know Julie, I assume most of the people in the industry know her or know of her at this point, or do you guys all know her?
I don't.
So her background is that she is in Australia and she does masterminds, or she does, what she primarily does is SDR coaching. And her story is that she basically built up her own business where she was managing 130 plus STRs. And so she basically sold that business. I want to say it was before the pandemic. It was like 19. And then she started doing like coaching, STR consulting. And then, so I've been to a couple conferences with her in person. She's a great gal. You're kind of your typical kind of Aussie. See, someone is trying to join here, so I have to. So anyway, that's kind of the whole connection. But I have a little PowerPoint I'm going to show you. I'm so used to Zoom and not Meet, so I'm trying to make sure. Is everyone joined?
Yeah. I sent a little note in the chat to remind everyone that we're going. So hopefully we get a couple inbound. But
okay. There was someone that wanted to join that I needed to let in. Just looking for They definitely have improved Meet over time. It used to not be this good. Okay, so I think we can go ahead and get started. But that's kind of how I made the connection, is that someone found me at the top of Google, and then I met Julie. I met him, did work for him. I met Julie. And then basically what I'm going to do today is just show you a case study of the results I'm getting, and then just different things you guys can do to improve your own SEO. So let's get into it and we'll get started.
Hey, Jeremy, somebody's trying to be let in.
Okay.
RJ.
Someone wants to join. All right, I'm clicking on them. Okay, I'm trying to let them in. I don't know where the pop up. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm an old man here trying to figure this out. Am I the only admin here?
Yeah, I don't think any of us are admins.
Okay, here we go. I can see the messages. Let me just.
Should be in that bottom, one of those bottom right icons, people icon there.
There we go. Shake.
Click on that. I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere. in that right pop-up window.
Yeah, I found the background effects. I'm just going through each thing and figure out where reactions. So annoying. Here we go. Okay, here we go. All right. There we go. All right. So looks like RJ joined. I think we're good to go now. All right, you guys ready? Okay, let's get to it. Let's do this thing. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. Can you see it okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, all right. So what I'm going to do is jump into it. And this is going to be primarily educational. I'm not really, I do SEO and I can help you with this kind of thing, but I'm more just about educating you about how this whole process works and then just different things that you can do to improve your SEO. And then also what we're going to do today is just talk about kind of how SEO works, the old-fashioned SEO and also AI SEO being found by the AIs. And then we're gonna I'm gonna show kind of a case study of results I'm getting, and then also different things I'm doing to get the results. And you can feel free to implement any of these things on your own. I'm going to show you an actual client I've been working with and the results I'm getting. And so if you guys, and this will be interactive, so if you have a question along the way, feel free to just ask me a question. I can see everyone here. So my background is that I have a background in graphic design, graduated in the early O's. I worked for an ad agency for about a year when I first graduated. And then I was a headhunter, executive recruiter for about 8 or 9 years, throughout from the early to the end of the aughts, the early teens. And around 05, I had my day job headhunting people and 100% commission. I enjoyed doing it until the recession, as you can imagine. 100% commission, that doesn't work so well when no one's really hiring. 08 or 09, but 05, a tool came out called WordPress where you could build a website and not have to be a developer. And I am more right brain dominant, and I was like, all right, well, now I can build websites. And I started building websites and started realizing if no one can find you in Google, you're more or less completely like invisible. So I started teaching myself how to become visible with, now we call it traditional Google. And so one of my experiments was generating 20K of business a month back in 08. And I was like, okay, I'm making about 3 or 5K a month from that. So I decided to go out there full time, and created my own company in 12. And so this is like, I guess, year 14 or year 15. I've currently got about 30 to 40 clients right now, and I'm in the process of getting about 45 to 50 clients before the end of the year, because I've realized the importance of having a system and scaling. So I went through Helene about a year ago. I got a 25K grant to business owners who survived Helene, and I spent about half of that into building AIs that help do what I do. So I'm going to talk a lot about that and show different AIs I've created. And just as an FYI, I'm really big on, I'm a member of BNI, and BNI is a networking group. It's primarily for small business owners, but they're all big into givers gain and working ethically. And the whole idea is that, you give back and you help people. And there are some people that, will pay you to work with them, but it's really just starting with this approach of giving back and helping and then going from there. And that's what I found that actually works really well. And so that's kind of my approach. So again, this isn't a sales pitch at all. This is more just showing information. So how does SEO work? Obviously, search engine optimization has become, until real recently, everyone was finding you with traditional Google. And then, as all of us know, ChatGPT came out in October of 21 and started changing everything. And so SEO has evolved. And so I'm going to basically show you kind of what works for the old-fashioned SEO or traditional SEO, but also what works with AI SEO, showing up for the AIs. So really what we're looking at here is what I call a 5-step process. And it really comes down to what are people looking for in Google. And I'm going to show you examples of each of these steps, and then I'll answer any questions as we go along. But the first step is what are people looking for in Google? And then what you're then doing is you're improving your website content that has some of these words in there, these search phrases, we call them keywords. And then you're also in step 3, going through and telling Google and AIs, hey, what each page is about, right? I'm not going to use any technical terms or a lot of technical terms because I don't really believe in making this difficult to understand. And then this is kind of step 4 is where this has changed dramatically. In step 4, in order to show up for AIs, we have to publish blogs, but we also have to publish a lot of inside content on a website. And that content is really a major piece of what makes your website visible with AIs. So if you think about it, an AI is essentially what they call a large language model, right? And so all of these sort of AIs evolved from being fed like most of the internet. So whenever you come forward and say, hey, here's more content, you're more or less in some ways speaking their language and saying, hey, here's content that about my business that you might find valuable. And the more you can do that versus a competitor, the more you're going to be visible for an AI search. That's a simple understanding of it, but that's kind of the one of the main keys. And then the other last step is you need to get connections from other websites. So you need to get connections from other websites. Now, let me stop and say that about 80% of companies that do what I do, that provide SEO, are a scam. I don't know what else to say. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I didn't realize this until I was referred to a lawyer about 7 or 8 years ago. And I was like, well, what am I getting into? The previous company was spending $1,400 a month for SEO, and they weren't showing up in Google. And I was like, what? So I'm going to do some investigation and figure out, hey, what's happening? And I logged in and I looked at all their tools, all these tools that can tell me. And from what I can tell, they basically were doing like what the previous company was doing 1% of the job, which in my opinion is completely unethical. But they were publishing an occasional page on the website. I was just like, are you freaking kidding me? And I since realized that a lot of scammers out there are just all about taking your money, and they don't actually, care about producing results. They don't care about being ethical. So if you do decide to work with somebody, I can give you things to ask them. But really, if you think about it, it just comes down to probably what you guys, in order to manage at least 5 or 10 clients, right? You need to have your own system in place. And part of developing your own system is holding your people accountable. And so if you're working with someone, just hold them accountable, get them to show you the work they're doing, get them to show the results, and make sure it's actual results that are actually happening. And so that's kind of a real short answer of how that works. But just FYI, know that there are a lot of scammers in my industry. And I just figured, why not just, explain what I'm experiencing? And almost anytime I cold call companies out of the area, I do some work with other kind of companies as well. They think I'm trying to scam them. So it makes sense because there are a bunch of scams out there. So this is the client that I'm going to show you in this case study, and I'm going to show you step by step what I'm doing to get results for them. They're based in San Diego, and we've been working together for about 2 years. And And this is their web, and you know, I showed you their website before. I'll just show it to you real quick as well. So these guys, you know, they have a really nice looking website here. Let's start on the website real quick. Notice here they have a video that shows the work. So honestly, I'm just going to give you feedback. If you ever want me to look at your website and give you feedback, or you want to do that in this meeting. But one of the things I would definitely do is show your work, right? Goes back to high school, right? Show your work. Show what you can, how you can transform a space. Because if people are coming to your website and they don't see beautiful visuals, not, it doesn't necessarily have to be a video, but they don't see your work, then they don't really know what they're getting paid, what they're paying for, right? And so, so we have a nice video here. We have these call to actions: get my free income projection. We have, you know, breakdowns of what they do here. We have, and then we show 3 or 6 of their featured listings. And this is Shopify. They don't have an e-commerce store, but they're on Shopify. So I'm like, okay, working within the constraints of Shopify. But and then below the properties, then you can see who they are. Then you can see testimonials. Then you can see a little example of what SEO is. We'll talk about that. But notice here, when I go into a property, we now have an Airbnb type page. Like, I guess we call this a property page, where you have really a great photography, and you have really great a summary of this. Just comes directly from an Airbnb with a call to action here. And then look at all this photography here. So the whole idea is that if somebody's coming to your website and they need vacation rental management, show your work, right? You need to hire a photographer who can document all this thing, and the entire process. And so how does this connect to SEO? Well, it's all kind of connected, right? Because if someone comes to your site and they leave right away, then you're not converting people. You want people to really kind of look at your work and be almost kind of desperate to work with you. But you want to do this, you know, in a casual way where you're showing the work, right? They have a nice services looking page here where you can see they have full service management, etc. They have their story. If you don't have our story or an about page that shows you that, and all the photography on your website needs to be real photography, none of this AI. I love AI, but I really feel like that when someone sees an AI image or a stock image, they're basically, their bullshit meter, I don't know what else to call it, is like, well, this is not real. They may not consciously realize it's real or not real, but I would say if you want to use some AI images here and there, but the more you can show that's real stuff, the more it translates as, hey, this is real. We also have a blog happening here where we do an ongoing blog in here. We're publishing at least 1 blog a week. I am using some AI images for blogs occasionally, but a lot of them are just, as much as we can, use real images. And then of course we got our contact us page, etc. So any questions before I move on to SEO? Any questions about the website and how important that is? Does that all make sense to you guys?
Did you build the website for them, or are you just doing the SEO on their website?
So
or guiding them?
So I do both. In this case, I inherited the website, and then I made some improvements on the existing design. So I can build a whole new website, or I can improve on the existing design. But the whole idea here is, if we get you to the top of Google and then people aren't contacting you, it's going to make me look bad, right? If you're working with me, or if you're just doing it on your own, you want to convert. You want your website to, where people can see you, get to know you, and then they're booking a call, right? And then it translates into the screen, or if it's face-to-face. So I love the digital world, right? But this all needs to translate into actual revenue. So that's a long answer. But the odd thing is that most people don't realize the importance of showing the properties, like showing examples of the properties, and unfortunately, due to the constraints of Shopify, I can't have a click here button that shows the full screen where you can go from next to next, because Shopify. So if you have a WordPress site, then you have a lot more control. over that. And most of my clients are in WordPress, but they can be other builders as well. The most important thing I need to be able to do besides having a beautiful site is I need to be able to publish, or you need to be able to publish inner hidden pages around content. And I'll explain what that is. Any other questions? Expect here to, if you need a website design, expect to spend, between 2 to 4K or whatever. All right, so that's step. So that's the website. So let's look at step 1, and what I'm going to do is just show you. These are keywords, right? So the first step is what are people looking for, and basically what I've found that Airbnb management city state is your absolute best keyword to go after, and I'll show you an example of that. But we get pretty good results with Airbnb management city state. So Airbnb management San Diego, California, right, etc. But then we also are getting them up there for vacation rental management, or vacation property management, or also short-term STR property management, right? So that's important. There are plenty of tools that tell us what people are looking for in Google. If you're working with an SEO person or you have access to this, one of the best tools is what's called Ahrefs. This is a paid tool that that you can get an SEO person to do. There are also free tools, but I'm really big on, I'm kind of a data geek. I really prefer to get the data from the actual source. So I'm just going to show you San Diego Airbnb management. I can see there are 50 people a month looking for this term, and I can see other related terms. Airbnb property management San Diego, there's 100 people looking for that term. If you scroll down here to Airbnb management San Diego, California, if you're even at the top of Google for this search and there's 10 people a month looking for that, that's still worthwhile. If one of those people contact you and it turns into a property, and then you do the analysis and it's like, okay, this is a great option, then heck yeah. It really just comes down to converting. So anyway, so that's an example of keywords. And then step 2, we're putting the keywords in the website. And so Google, traditional Google, and also AIs need to see what the actual search is in Google. And if you don't have the words on the page, I put vacation rental management here. If you don't have Airbnb management or vacation rental management there somewhere, then you're not going to really show up in Google. So it kind of just makes sense. And AIs read your entire site, right? So now for AIs, what we need to be looking for here is what's called prompts. So this is a snapshot of AIs, and I can see here that this client is showing up for a small, tiny audience now, but guaranteed they're going to quadruple in the next year. But we have an audience of 6,200 people, but this has gone up 4,200 searches month over month. We went from 2,000 searches to 6,000 in a month. And FYI, I don't know if everyone knows this, but ChatGPT users as a whole went from 400 to 800 million users in 10 months, from February to October. According to the latest data, I had Claude, which is one of the AIs I used, do a deep dive. I was blown away. The other thing I saw is that ChatGPT usage among Americans went up 38%. So basically from like around 8% in 2024 to like 38%. There it is. It went up 375% year over year. These are US users. I'm not talking about worldwide. So it's starting to explode. The question is, how much will AI go up from this year to next year, right? Maybe to 50%, maybe to 70%. Studies will, and I'll show you later on, but basically what people are using is AIs. They're using AIs to discover you, but they're still going to Google to find you and check you out, okay? So I can look in here and see what the searches are, which we call them prompts, basically. And I can see here that this is the actual search that someone did on Gemini, vacation rental and Airbnb management in San Diego. And I can see here in the response that they are recommending me, or excuse me, my client, Stay Classy Homes. And I can do a search for Stay Classy Homes and see how many times it shows up in the search here. So at least 2 different times. But this is the search in Gemini, and then this is recommendations, and then this is where, you know, they were recommended. So, and then these are all the prompts here. So if you, one of the things that you can do right away without having to work with anybody is come up with searches or prompts, or do some research and figure out what are people searching for. So how does Airbnb property management work in San Diego, right? Vacation rental management, San Diego. They're really similar to the keywords here, but in some cases you may have, but in some cases here under topic opportunities, we have 36,000 topic opportunities. And these are just any random question. At this point, I can't export this data and look through it, but this is an example of the other prompts. These are, some of these are, you know, related to someone who might be an actual potential client, and some of these are just basically looking for other things. Any questions before we move on? Am I going?
Yes.
Am I going too fast? Sorry. Yeah.
I have a question on this prompts. Where are you, I guess, what's the takeaway here for us? Like, are we supposed to create prompts, and where are we creating prompts?
So what I would do is find out a way. Let me just do some quick research and find out where we can get some free prompts without having to pay any money. But if you do buy this one tool called SEMrush, I think it's like $200 a month, you can do prompt research and find out exactly what people are searching for. So I can just put in any keyword here, and I can find out what exactly the searches are, which are called prompts. So if you want to just take a screenshot of this, what are the best tools for managing Airbnb? Are there any tips for automating Airbnb? What are common challenges faced when running an Airbnb? If you start making content that answers these questions, that's kind of like about half the equation. Does that make sense?
Got it. Yeah. So the idea is basically to make content for these prompts to help your website come up in more searches.
That's if you make the content, that's the first step. So I'll show you there's more steps in there, but are there any free tools for finding AI prompts? I'm just going to ask. I mean, personally, even though I get paid to get people to the top of Google, I rarely use traditional Google any longer, which is irony, right? But here we go. It says here that we can go to Quillbot. So Quillbot AI prompt generator has a free option available. So it can come up with ideas for that. Another one is called Prompt Perfect. Another one is called Prompt Dive, Prompt Genie. So all of these will give you, let's see. Let me just try this one more time. Just going to go search here. What about for AI SEO prompts? So the question is, can I even spell? Because it doesn't matter any longer. Because then the AI will know what I'm saying. But I think Answer the Public is one of the ones I've recommended before. Have you heard of Answer the Public? You can basically just put in this and put in a term like Airbnb management. And then you can then answer, let's see here, just making sure I'm not a robot or I am a robot. And then it will give you questions related to this, assuming that I'm not a robot, but it doesn't know yet. Come on. There we go. So this is the topic, and then these are questions that come up. So here we go. AI, these are AI models. So this is telling you here, this is the term, and this is probably worth spending a little bit of money. I think you can do 3 searches a day, but this is probably a low cost way of getting more information. But I can see these are the AI models. Anyone that does an AI search is asking these questions, right? So what are the best management services? Can I hire someone to do cleaning and maintenance? How can I find property management company in my area? Where can I get guest screening services? So these are all answers to those questions. If you start answering those questions, that's part of the equation. That makes sense? Okay. So so that's kind of a dive into the prompts and how this works. But again, let's move on to step 3, which is basically once you have sort of, prompts or keywords on your website, once you know what people are looking for and you have prompts on the website, what I do is this, which is called an SEO blueprint. And this is just basically a list of all the pages in the website, and you're looking at 4 of them here. And then it's essentially a title and description of each page that has keywords or prompts in it, right? So when we first started, there was no title and description of the page. And then we put Airbnb management, right? And we have Airbnb management here, and also vacation rental management in the description. And believe it or not, AIs even look at this titles and descriptions of pages. The technical term for this is meta title, meta description. Sometimes the platform you're in would call this an SEO title or description, but don't leave these blank. The other thing is, don't always put keywords in it, right? Like, this is the contact us page. It had nothing in here. And we just put a title in here, contact us, and then we just put something in here that doesn't have a keyword. Hey, reach out to us. Could yours be the next? Contact us, right? So you don't always want to put keywords or prompts into content because that looks spammy or that looks inauthentic. So that makes sense. So that's step 3, which is the keywords in there. And then this step 4 is where things have changed dramatically. So so we know what a blog is, right? And we know, I've mentioned before, that we need to have a blog. What I recommend is having one blog, at least one blog a week. They can be 1,000 to 1,000 or 2,000 words. They can be less. But really what Google looks for is consistency. Does your website, are you consistently blogging? Years ago when I got started, I was working with 2 clients. One was blogging, one wasn't. And guess what? The one that was doing blogging on their site and doing stuff on their site actively, they got visibility. And this is where I always tell people that working with Google and working with AIs is a lot like falling in love. It's not one thing that tells your partner that you love them, right? But it's the ongoing things of spending time together, of going on dates, buying them gifts. Everybody probably knows about the love languages, right? My partner, her love language is quality time. So if I don't spend quality time with her, she starts thinking I don't love her, right? It's just how she's hardwired. So Google wants you to spend time with her. I know I call Google a woman, but AIs want you to spend time doing things. And when you do little things like blogging or publishing inner pages on your site or keywords on your site, it's not one of those things that make the difference, but all of those things together. So this is a front-facing blog. Now I want to talk for a second about traditional SEO, old school versus new school. So in the old school, we would do one blog a week. We would put some keywords in the website content. We would publish maybe some inner pages here and there on the website. And we would maybe connect pages, like link pages, together on the website. After spending a year of doing AI SEO, and I have a franchise I'm working with that is showing up nationwide for some super competitive terms. And so they're spending $2,300 a month, right? So my largest, or $2,800 now, they just increased, my largest client, but we have published a lot of content. And I've learned a lot from them, and they can even show you the results I'm getting for them. But we still are doing one blog a week or 1 or 2 blogs a week. But the difference is we're including keywords in the content and also writing content that answers questions like with AI prompt, right? And then one of the other differences is we're publishing between 10 to 40 inner pages a month. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second. And then the other thing we're doing is we're connecting pages together on the website. So if you publish content on there on your website, but you don't connect it to other pages on your website through a link, Google and AIs ignore that page altogether. Okay. So it's all of these things, but this really is kind of your core of publishing content and connecting content and getting connections. That's really what if you do all of those things or some of those things, or even just one of those things, you're starting to get more visibility. Okay. So let's take a look at, I showed you a blog a second ago. Let me show you what internal links look like. So it's more than just having content on the website. Let me back up. Let me first show what internal content looks like. So what I'm going to do is show you some content I've published inside of Stay Classy and show you what I mean by publishing content. Okay. Now, let me back up and say that websites are evolving beyond just a page like this, but websites are evolving into where you have pages that are like for humans with the design and images and story and all the things that we respond to. And then you have inner pages that are just content only pages that may or may not have design on them. They're for AIs. Okay. And what I've found is that doing both, having pages with real content and real properties like we started off with, showing that is helpful, but also inner pieces of content that answer questions. So here's one here that I've done. This is essentially like 1,000 words of content. It's almost like a blog, but this is about creating 5-star guest content experiences, the concierge approach to vacation rental management. And so what I have here is a 1,000-word article that talks about what makes a 5-star experience, setting the stage for it. And if you look here, I have links in the content. See that? I'm connecting links together. So this is an example of an inner sort of AI page. This page was written by AI for AI. Let me show you another one. This is a shorter page. I also do longer pages.
I'm sorry, so you can't, when you're on their website, you can't click to this? Like,
yeah, you can't click through this. So this is a longer page. This is a guide page about premium San Diego vacation rental management, what really matters. And I don't really even care, honestly, that the title is almost in here twice, right? This content is entirely for an AI, and we're looking at about 3,000 words of content in here. This is what I call an AI buffet. It's a table of contents. It's an intro paragraph, and then it's a table of contents, and then each of these are 500 to 800 word sections. Okay. And what I've found is that if you get an AI to write this content, I would recommend Claude, but you can definitely do this yourself. But what I got tired of was doing this completely on my own. So I developed an AI that does this. And I'm going to just show it to you right now. And anyone is welcome to test it out. I honestly designed this thing for my own agency. It's called Incredible Roots. And if you want, Jake, I'll do it for you right now. Do you mind if I send you? I'll just send you a sample of this.
Sure.
So let me find you here in this, Jake. What is your email in here?
Info. You want me to just put it in the chat?
Is it at Lodge and Leisure?
Yeah, at lodgeandleisure.com. Info
Okay,
at lodgeandleisure.com.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is just put this in here, and then this is gonna send you a 25-page Google Doc in about 10 minutes. I know it's gonna be overkill, but I'm gonna explain what this is doing. What this thing is doing is an AI is going to your website right now and trying to get a sense of what do you sound like. Okay. So it creates your voice match. Then what it does, it goes to ChatGPT and it goes to another AI and says, hey, what are people looking for when they're searching for what Jake does, right? And then it uses Claude to write a 3,000 word article. And then it also writes 3,000 word articles. And what it does is it puts all that into a Google Doc. And you're welcome to go to Incredible Roots and use this on your website. Cost me about $1 per output to do this, so the cost is pretty low. But if you want to go and generate AI content, I'll put a link in here. And I'm trying to, it's Incredible Roots. Trying to find where the chat is. Sorry, I feel like an ape. Here we go. Incredible Roots. The whole idea is this, is that websites are like trees. And with a tree, you have like the visible section, then you have the roots section. And building inner pages are like hidden roots that AIs see that the regular person doesn't see. The more you have these kind of roots or these inner hidden pages, the more you get found by AIs. So I got tired of doing this manually, so I created an AI that creates this content. If you go to this page here where it says try it, build silos, this will allow you to build content around any keyword. So I'll do it again for you, Jake. Let's see. I can do it for someone else. Anyone else want me to generate some content for them? Or
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
Who's saying yeah?
This is Alan.
Alan. Okay. There we go. Alan Armbula.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to do this for you, and you're welcome to go here. I honestly thought maybe agencies would want to use this. But AI is exploding. I haven't found any agencies that want this, but I'm using this for my own agency. What's your business, Alan?
VistaProStays.com.
Okay, I'm just gonna okay, so I'm gonna do this here. So on this page here on the build silos, you can build content around anything you want and it will sound like you wrote it. So I'm going to go here and do silo, which means I'm going to do a page with 5 sections. I'm going to do 3 inner pages. So this is a 5-3 silo would be a pillar page with 5 sections. So it's about 3,000 words long. And this will be 3,000 word pages below that. It's going to put all this into a Google Doc. It's going to be way too much, I know. But anyway, what's something you want to write about? Maybe like how about hospitality first management?
Okay.
So I'm just going to put that in here. And then it's going to write an article, guide kind of article about hospitality first management. And it's going to go ahead and do that. So feel free to go here and play around with this. The reality is, I developed this whole thing because I'm trying to scale from 35 to 45 or 50 clients. And what I found is that most content out there that AIs write is not personalized. It's just slop. So I was like, I found a developer in Argentina and I spent 5 months working with him until we came up with something that would scan your website and everything about you and make a summary of that and then write content that sounds like you wrote it, or at least somewhat like you wrote it. And then the tool itself will publish it directly on your site on WordPress or Shopify. But obviously I don't have access to your guys' site, so you can just take the Google Doc and then you can just publish that content. So I'll show you that in a couple of minutes. Any questions about this before I move on?
How does pricing work for Incredible Roots?
I honestly don't know. At this point, I really just created this on my own. And I initially thought agencies would use it. I think personally, I would probably look at something less than $100 a month to publish, 5 or 10 of these. But I just created this whole thing as a demo for anyone to use and test. But I got to the point where I built this whole thing. I just don't really know how to get it in front of people who would want to use it. So I just been using it on my own. Okay. But I do have a back-end dashboard that this is how it works in the dashboard. So this is one of, I can show you Stay Classy here. So once you have a new client or a website in here, I can literally go here. I can pick his website. I can say he's in San Diego. I'm going to say I'm going to build a both, which is a big page and then 3 smaller page. And I'm going to get that same, keyword, hospitality first management. And then when I hit start generating, this automatically writes and publishes it directly in his website. So all these pages I've made are using this AI automation, but all of this content is completely customized for the client, right? Because, San Diego, right? It'll reference anything to Stay Classy. So it's not AI slop, but you guys feel free to give me your take on it when you look at the content. But I've worked really hard to make this seem like it was written by a human. At the end, we have the call to action, contact Stay Classy Homes. So if you train up an AI to sound like you and write like you, you get high quality content. That's the difference I found. But you can do the same thing by going to Claude and creating an article or creating a project in Claude and giving a sample of your writing and get it to write the content. And then from there, you can get it to write articles. I just got tired of doing it manually. So, and I'll just say this real quick. I am not a fan of ChatGPT for writing content. My sad 10-second sob story, okay, 20 seconds, was that I had it about a year ago. I had it write 30 blogs for a client of mine that needed a whole bunch of content. And then I also had Claude write some content at the same time. And ChatGPT was so bad, it was changing adjectives. I would literally get an article from somewhere else and it would just change adjectives. It's like, this is not going to be unique enough. So then I went to Claude and I was like, rewrite this blog, and it wrote a brand new, beautiful article. So I'm a fan of using Claude. I guess you just call me a Claudster. I know it's ridiculous, but this is their project in Claude, and I have essentially all the pages on the website, and I can literally go here and say, read the website content and describe the style and tone. And then it will essentially read the website and then describe what Stay Classy sounds like. And then from there, I can get it to write blogs that sound like Stay Classy wrote it, right? So I think ChatGPT does that. I just have had a bad experience. I use ChatGPT for conversational things, but just not content. Any questions?
No.
So really what it comes down to is making pages like this. And then the other step here is connecting pages to each other. So this is a tool I found that helps build internal connections, because again, I think you guys are kind of set up like a general contractor, right? Especially if you have 10 or 20 properties or more, in order to have that much happening, you need to have your system in place, right? So I'm the same thing, but I'm more of an SEO AI guy. So I found a system that does all of this. I created that, incredible root system. And then I have a system here that connects pages on the website. So at this point, as of this screenshot, I've built 118 internal connections from pages on the website. And this is a diagram of what Google sees when they see a website, or an AI sees when they see a website. They see pages that are represented as little dots on here. And then they see lines between the pages, which represent internal links on the pages, right? And when I mean internal links, right? Like obviously going here to, where an internal link is like where there's a link on the content that points somewhere else, right? So what I found is that you need to have the content on the website, and then you need to connect the content to itself or to other pieces of content. So here's an example of another page on the website and this page has like maybe 5 internal links. Studies have found that if you have a page that has 50 internal links to it, it gets found by AI and also Google. So that's part of the equation as well. Any questions? Okay.
I have a question. Yeah, the internal links, I'm not sure I still follow. So can you give me an example of like an internal link from, let's say, the website to where it's connecting to?
Sure. Let me find it right here. Just have some new windows open here. Hold on. That's this one. Okay. So so here's an example. Just find some content. I'm just going to look at 2 or 3 pages and I'll show you what it looks like. And I apologize if this is a little too technical, but all this stuff is pretty exciting to me. But of course, I do this all day long. So here's an example of, let me find one here. Got to find one that has it. Here's an example. So this is an internal link right here. This is a link on the word pricing decisions. And then this link goes to another piece of content on the site about the ultimate guide to dynamic pricing. So the links go to related content, right? Here's one here about understanding vacation rental management. And so this one particular article might have 5 or 10 links on it. Start tracking your KPIs. So the point here is that Google pays attention to all, and AIs pay attention to not just the content on your site, but where's the content connecting to? So, and somebody who's doing SEO, or if you're doing SEO, you need to be probably building between 20 to 50 of these a month. I just found a tool that does it automatically because I got tired of doing it manually. I got tired of my VAs doing it manually. So I have about 7 VAs that work for me now. And I'm in the process of eventually hiring someone that take over my role that can just handle all the SEO for all my clients. All right. So after this point, we found keywords, we put them in the website content, we'd made sure there's titles and descriptions on all the pages, and then we showed you about publishing inner pages on the website and connecting those. The last step is, and this is the step that if it's a scam, I've most of the time not seen scam artists do this. And that is connecting other websites on your website to your website, okay? So what we can do as SEO people is that we can look at how many other websites are connecting to our clients over time, right? So the blue line is how many other websites are connecting to us over time, or the client, okay? And so we can see here, we started in 2023, and then up until about March, April of this year, we connected around 370 other .coms, where it says referring domains. That's how many other .coms are coming in. And then from here, it kind of stabilized and it stayed the same, seemingly. But what we did, and I don't think I can draw on this, I don't think, I'm so used to Zoom where I can do this, but what we started doing around March, April this year is instead of building a whole bunch of links, we started switching over to just doing high quality connections. And what a high quality connection is a website. Let me just find an example here. A website that has a blog on it that talks about you, that connects directly to your website. But the difference is this website basically, the website itself is, very high quality. So let me show you. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is show you a blog that I did for Stay Classy, and then show you some more details. Okay. So this is what we consider a guest blog link. Okay. This is a blog on another website that connects to yours. And to you and I, it just looks like a regular blog, right? It's a blog about, creating a stylish vacation rental space, right? You've read these kind of blogs before. It's probably about 1,000 words, right? There's a link on here that goes to my client, Stay Classy Homes, And there's also another link that goes to the National Association of Realtors. If I click on this link, it goes directly to Stay Classy. Okay, right? So the difference is this blog is 20 or 50 times more powerful than if I were just go to the internet and make a blog on blogger.com. Okay. And I'm just going to give you a quick explanation here. So whenever Google sees a website, they don't actually see like the design. What they see is a number on a scale of 1 to 100 that tells us how strong that website is. And that represents overall reputation. Okay. So this website is 52 times more powerful than if I were just go to Blogger and make a blog. If I were to go to Blogger, make a blog and write the same blog, Google would ignore this blogger, blog for 5 years. But because this website has a strong reputation, it's 52 times stronger than just a brand new website. A brand new website would be a 0. Does that make sense? So when you get these high quality connections, that produces results. So that's why up to this point, up till about April of this year, it was like going up. And then we decided to just do high quality connections from that point forward. And then these are the results that we're getting. So what we want to do here is measure the results with tools. If you're paying someone to do SEO, then you better see results, right? If you're doing it on your own, you can go to a tool and buy a tool called SEMrush. That's what I recommend. And this is a tool if you want to do it on yourself, on your own. This is a tool that costs around 100, like roughly about $200 a month to measure like 5 websites. If you want to do SEO on your own, this is worth spending. I would also probably pay for AI in here. So it'd be like probably about like maybe $400 or what, $399. Like it's $300 or $400 a month is what I would pay for just for basic. But what we can do though is measure. We're doing all this work and now we're getting results. So for traditional Google, as we do the work, we get higher in what's called visibility, and this is us getting higher in Google. So we went from 0% because they've never done SEO, and then we went up to, I think we're at 13% right now. So the yellow is how many are at the top of Google in San Diego. The yellow is how many are at the top of traditional Google. So we can see we have 11 at the top. We have 21 Google's first page total. And then I can see these are the keywords or search phrases for traditional Google. Airbnb management company San Diego. We can see they're at the top. So I can see these terms. I can see this one here, Airbnb rental management San Diego. There are 10 people a month looking for this term. I can see it move to the top. So a tool like SEMrush, or there's other ones as well that will measure your results. So if you're doing all this work or you're paying someone to do the work, insist that they show you results like this. Generally, my going rate is 1550 to move up 20 terms at the top of Google. That's what I get the best results for. I have higher rates, I have lower rates. But if you're spending money, insist that they give you a report where you can see terms moving up in Google, or you're doing it yourself, insist that you can see things moving up. Because if someone isn't doing any work, then they're not going to be doing hardly any of what I've just showed you. And they're definitely not going to show you a report like this because guess what? They're not doing any work. I'm sorry. I just hate scamming people. I hate scammers. I'm just not a fan. And then what we do is we look at Google Analytics and we look at, hey, is all this turning into more traffic on the website? So when someone searches you for an AI, with an AI, it shows up here on Google Analytics. It's called direct. This just means that Google doesn't know where the traffic came from. But when an AI comes to your website and scans it, that's what it's called direct. Organic search is showing up in traditional Google. We can see we went from 144 visitors this time last year to 211 visits this time this year. So the traffic went up 46%. I think they've gone up from managing 50 to 70 to 70 or 80 properties now. How many properties they're managing? I can't take credit for all of them. They've done mergers, but I'm generating at least 2 or 3 good leads a week or more. Someone is trying to join. Your note taker is trying to join. Okay. And then what we do is we look at basically for traditional Google or for all of it, are more people coming to your website? Are they doing more things on your website? Are they spending more time on your website? And that kind of thing. So, you know, I've been doing this for 15 years full time. If you do want to work with somebody, I would say reach out to me. I always start with just an evaluation of where you are and what kind of work is going to take to get to the top of Google. I have created my own system that makes this work. But if you do, you have to do something. This is basically where Stay Classy is right now. They're at 13% visibility as of today. They have 16 at the top of Google, 16 terms at the top of Google. And of course, the visibility fluctuates, but if I just look at, it's kind of fluctuating between 11 and 13%. But if I just were to look at the last month or so here, when we hit 13%, we've gone essentially from 5% back up to 13%. And I can see this is the keyword that moved up: Airbnb management companies, etc. Airbnb management, vacation rental management, and then Airbnb management. So there's 260 people looking for Airbnb management. And I'm excited that we're basically near the top of Google, traditional Google, for this. So, so that's really all I have for the first part of this. I have something about AI SEO and how everything has changed there. But before I do that, don't want to really just do all the talking. So do you guys have any questions? Yeah.
How did you link that website to Stay Classy's blog? Like, how do you make that connection? Is that like a different company? Is it? Yeah,
so it's a network, and what I essentially do is I pay. I have a team that reaches out to websites that have a good reputation, and I pay some of what the client's paying me to do a blog on their website. So I'll probably allocate like a third to a half of what, you know, somebody's paying me to pay people to publish content. So it's quality. But you can definitely, if you have friends, you can reach out to friends and get them to link to you. FYI, if you ever get them to do that, they need to have a similar kind of business, and you don't want them to link to you and then you link back to them. That looks suspicious. It's better to have them writing a blog post about you. Hey, if you're in San Diego looking for Airbnb management, check out Stay Classy. A quick little blog post with a link there. Other questions? I also have something at the end I can show you, which is basically a little bit about how AI SEO has kind of, or AI has exploded. And this is, so I thought I would just end with that, unless you have any other questions. And I will say that my ideal client is somebody that probably is managing at least 10 properties. I do have rates below $1,000 a month. You know, it's harder to get results when someone's spending $950 or $750 a month. I do have lower levels. I can start off at lower levels, but I get the best results at the $1,550. But again, you know, it comes down to cash flow, right? It comes down to, does this make sense? And with all of this, you get what you pay for, even if you do it yourself, right? The more time you're investing, you're paying yourself to do it. So if anyone knows somebody that has 10 or 20 properties and they want more, and they want to make at least $1,000 investment a month, then I've been willing to talk to them. But for me, it's got to be a good fit for everyone. So I just closed 2 SCRs, one in Texas and then one in Phoenix. So I'm not going to take on more than a couple SCRs in each market, just so I don't get too oversaturated. But that's kind of how I do it. So keep me in mind if you know anyone that is sort of my an ideal client. And then what I'm going to do here is show you a little bit about kind of what I'm working on here. So this is going to be the AI revolution. And so as you can imagine, try to do this full screen. Here we go. Okay, so as you can imagine, AI search is here, right? And basically what we have here is $2 billion people are using AI overviews. 2.5 billion people are using ChatGPT. We've seen a 375% surge since 2023 surge. So it's around 8% usage in 23, and that's up to around 30. That's roughly around 38% of Americans are using ChatGPT now. The odd thing about all of this is that, well, not the odd thing, but it kind of makes sense. People are still using traditional Google. So what people are basically doing is using AI to find you and then still checking you out on Google, because AI hallucinates, right, all the time. And you can do things like I showed today, get Claude and train Claude on your content, and the chance of it hallucinating are almost nil at that point. But as a whole, AI still hallucinates all the time. So people are like going to Google and checking you out. And obviously, if we've seen the AI overviews kind of exploded. It was around 6% in January, and it's really up to, some people are saying 13 to 18%, or even up to 50% by October. So it's a huge rollout. Basically, Google is losing their lunch because ChatGPT is taking over. If you try to use Google's AI, try to use Gemini and have it repeat the same question or response to you over and over again, it's a horrible experience compared to using ChatGPT. And anyone who's like on the edge of 50 is just going to use ChatGPT to discover things. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. We can see that travel has seen an explosion of 381% growth. You know, the other thing that's happening is, as people are using AI and AI overviews, less people are coming to your website. So organic. So it used to be that so you were at the top of Google, you would get 7.3% clicks. Now it's down to 2.6% clicks, because guess what? People are getting the answers in AI overviews. We've seen these major publishers where they've gone down, HuffPost, etc. And then the paradox here is that the impressions have gone up. So the number of people are using AI to find you, but there's less clicks. Now, the odd thing is, if you have a strong brand, like you're on social media, and I will mention this, AIs ignore you unless you're on social media. You need to have some presence on social media. So be sure you have some system in place where you're just posting once a week on at least a couple channels. But if you have a strong brand, brands are seeing an 18% click-through rate. So that's awesome. And then, you know, like I said, the growth has gone from, 400 to 800 million users. So it went from 400 million users in February to 800 million users. And they're using ChatGPT to find information, to do tasks, and, also doing personal reflection. I mean, hey, if you have a conflict with your partner, ask ChatGPT to weigh in on it. That's an interesting conversation. It's crazy how it can even go into therapist mode. And I mean, this is just saying that a lot less people are using mobile phones to click to you. The click-through rate has gone way down. People are using websites to find you has gone way down. So 60% of all Google searches now end without a click. However, when there's an AI overview that shows up, only 8% of those result in clicks. So the odd thing about all of this is that if an AI sends someone to your website and recommends you, those visitors will convert at 23 times stronger than regular Google. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. I mean, we're social creatures, right? So if you're chatting with somebody in real life and they're like, hey, recommend this and that, and they give you really good advice, then that's awesome, right? But if it's like, so AI is the same way. And then one thing you can do here is start answering questions on Reddit, because AIs look at Reddit and they look at how often you have a presence on Reddit. So Google did this $60 million deal with Reddit, and they're paying, and a lot of times AIs will look at Reddit answers. So I would definitely sort of have a presence on Reddit if you care about showing up for AIs. And of course, Reddit isn't perfect. Everyone knows how at one point Google's AI overviews recommended adding glue to the pizza, from these sarcastic Reddit response, so that was hilarious. And really, we have anything from Perplexity to Gemini to ChatGPT to Claude. So this is going to double, triple, or quadruple in the next coming 2 to 5 years or less. Us people that do SEO are kind of like, excited about AI, but also some people are worried about it. So that's kind of what this is all about. And just saying, hey, AI is changing things for the good or the bad, but it's here to stay. So these are things that you can do to show up in front of AI. You really need to be on Google, but also other places. You need to have a strong social media presence. You need to build your brand. You need to have brand presence across the multiple places. You need to prioritize quality, answer quality questions like we talked about earlier. And then you need to pay attention to what's happening. AI overviews have grown crazy. And so AI search is kind of changing things for the good or bad. But the point is, if you can get some of your stuff featured and recommended by AIs, then those visitors from an AI will convert 23 times stronger. So that's really all I had for today, unless you guys want me to see anything else. And I'll definitely come back on again if you want me. I can show you some more things. I would definitely be thinking about buying Claude, or at least trying out Claude. Sorry for the $20 a month. Claude is the AI. It's one of the AIs. It's the one that seems to least hallucinate. I would say that AIs are like people. ChatGPT is kind of like your handyman that goes out there and does a lot of things, but it doesn't write papers. Like, what handyman do you know can write a term paper? Where Claude is like the English professor. Claude writes really great content. Gemini is sort of like the photographer. Gemini does some really good video stuff. So,
Jeremy, quick question for you. Obviously, a lot of great information here today. Appreciate that. If we're to take away, a lot of us in our businesses, some of us are maybe not at that point where we want to be spending $1,000, $2,000 a month on this kind of thing. Some of us, I think, are getting close, or we are there. But if there was like one thing that you'd recommend, one action we could take from like everything you presented today, that would put us in a stronger position, like what would that be?
So
one thing that we could go do on ourselves.
I'll give you 4 things. What I would do is, number 1, go to Answer the Public and create an account there, or at least do some searches there and figure out what people are searching for with AIs, like I showed you earlier. Answer the Public. Yeah, answerthepublic.com. Go to answerthepublic.com and put in like vacation rental management or Airbnb management. So that's the first thing I would do. And I think I showed that earlier in the presentation. And then I'll just show you, I think this is what I just did a second ago. Here it is, Airbnb management. You can do 3 searches a day on this, but that's the first thing I would do, is go here and look up 3 searches, and then create a free account, and you can, copy this information. So that's the first thing I would do, is figure out what are people searching for. The second thing I would do is I would then go to Claude sign up for Claude or try it for free. And I would create a project folder, new project, put your website in here. So website, create a project. Once you have a website project, I would then go here and under files, I would add text content and I would add your homepage. Just go to your homepage, copy all the content, paste it here. Go to another page, all the content, paste it here. And so what you'll end up with is something that looks like this, which is basically all the pages on their website with the content on the pages. It doesn't matter if there's extra things like headings or whatever. It just matters that you have the content there. The third thing I would do is I would add some instructions in here into Claude that tells Google to tells it to write content that sounds like a human wrote the content. And so I'm going to do this right now. I can send this to you or the group or send it to Mark, but this is writing guidelines for natural language. This tells Claude to write content that sounds like human wrote it, right? Writing a conversational tone. This is a really long modified prompt, but more or less you're just telling this to write like a human would write it. So I would do that. Then what I do is I would say, describe the style and tone like I did earlier in that chat. Okay. And then so it describes the style and tone. Then you could say, write a pillar page targeting the word, targeting this prompt. And let me just grab a prompt here, which, let's see. Can I hire a service to handle cleaning and maintenance for my Airbnb property? It was to manage the cleaning and maintenance. Okay, I can't even spell today. Okay. I also say like use headings, train paragraphs, write a 155 character meta description, and then target 1,000. I would say target 3,000 to 4,000 words long. Go. So it will now, because it's been trained on you, it will write content that sounds like that you would have written it. And that's what Incredible Reach does, but you can definitely do this manually. And so it comes up with a whole pillar page structure and an article and writes the whole thing. And I would then publish that as an inner hidden page on your website, and I would connect that to other pages on your website. Does that make sense? So those are the things I would be doing for starters. And what I would also be doing is going to places like Yelp, Foursquare, other places where you can create a business listing for your business. So probably all of us have a Google business listing, for your property. Go to Yelp and create a Google business listing. You're going to get a sales call from a Yelp person. Never work with Yelp. They're a scam, I think. I spent $1,500 or $2,000 with them at one point for leads that they never produced leads. So I don't trust them. They hire high-powered salespeople in New York City that will say anything they want, anything you want to hear for them to get their money. I just haven't seen them work. It might work in your industry. Anyway. But I would create a Yelp page. I would go through and then go through and start adding your name, address, and phone number on your business listing to other places online. And that's called a business directory. So you can just Google, I'll share one last time. You can Google and say, free business directory, create free business directory listings. You can also ask AI to, and these are all places you can create your name, address, and phone number. So all of us have a Google business profile, but you could, probably a lot of us have a Facebook, but you can add it to Google Maps. Other places like this will allow you to make a name, address, and phone number of your business listing. So those are the things I would do if you're at the point where you can't hire someone to do it. But then at one point I would start putting aside some cash flow towards someone to do it. Generally, SEO for less than $1,000 a month is more or less a scam. So if you have someone that says that they can get results for less, I just haven't seen it work. So anything else? Any other questions you think of? I'm going to make this Fathom recording available, so you can look over this again. This is probably like sitting in front of a fire hose, I'm guessing. So sorry about that. I'm kind of really deep in what I do, but and if you know anyone that is at that level where they want more work, I would appreciate referrals, but it's got to be the right fit, and your cash flow has to be able to support it. And I don't really know how to make it work from a cash flow perspective unless you have at least 10 or 15 properties you're managing and you want more. So, and obviously it goes without saying, but you want to have your system in place. So, you need to have every aspect of your business operating smoothly. So.
Awesome.
Well, awesome. Any other questions?
This has been great.
Thanks, Jeremy.
And then check your email for the big, long 25-page Google Doc. You can go to Incredible Roots and generate content there too. Like I told you, I give you that link. So go there and generate content as well. And that might be the easiest way to get content. Just go there. Eventually I'll start charging for that, but I just haven't got to the point where I'm really put it out there. So
Will do.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you guys soon, and thanks so much for your time, and adios.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
All right. Bye.